fucking hilarious.
And just like that, the internet erupted. South Park returned with a jaw-dropping season premiere. Donald Trump, naked in bed with Satan, debating memes, anatomy, and power dynamics. Joe Rogan, once an outspoken Trump ally, couldn't hold back. His laughter, what seemed like crude comedy, quickly turned into cultural commentary that cut deeper than expected. Real clips, real quotes, and animation that hit the former president right where it hurt the most, his ego. South Park's opening wasn't subtle. Trump sidestepped the Epstein list like it was background noise, while the show painted a ruthless portrait of a man obsessed with perception, dismissing scandals with memes and tantrums. The devil's presence was theatrical.
I'm not in the mood right now. Another random commented on my Instagram that you're on the Epstein list.
The Epstein list? Are we still talking about that?
Well, are you on the list or not? It's weird that whenever it comes up, you just tell everyone to relax.
I'm not telling everyone to relax. Relax, guys!
But the satire wasn't the sketch forced audiences to ask, what happens when pop culture stops pulling punches and starts throwing haymakers? When a character's genitals get their own subplot on national TV, and the only official pushback is to label the satire uninspired, the situation clearly escalated. South Park staged what looked like a full-blown intervention with no censorship and no apologies. Trump's legal team responded with lawsuits, but South Park clapped back harder, parodying the settlement with a bizarre classroom hostage skit involving stale bread and corporate surrender. The sharpest jab, South Park didn't just go after Trump. They took aim at Paramount, their own network mocking corporate compliance and executive cowardice in real time. That wasn't just humor, it was a televised.
Who survived the wilderness and gave...
South Park released a deepfake PSA showing a nude Trump wandering the desert. That was apparently the final straw. The official White House response came swift and furious.
Responded, it was with disdain. Trump tried to downplay the humiliation, deflecting with tired rants about the Clintons and conspiracies. But the damage was done. His image had been reduced to a gag line, his presence upstaged by satire, and the last laugh clearly belonged to South Park. What started as another edgy South Park episode spiraled into a full-scale cultural grenade. The image of Donald Trump lying naked beside Satan wasn't just shock comedy. It was the creators dragging years of political chaos into the spotlight with brutal precision. The satire didn't just jab at Trump's ego, it dissected his vanity, paranoia, and constant craving for control. And for a show known for pushing buttons, this was more than a button.
Now, as we all know, Donald Trump doesn't like being mocked. But unfortunately for him, he's not very smart. So he gets mocked quite a lot.
Symbolized a cultural turning point. The line between political ally and detached observer blurred, and in that moment, comedy overtook loyalty. It made people wonder if even Rogan found it hilarious. What does that say about Trump's grip on the culture? South Park didn't stop at roasting Trump. They went nuclear. In their hostage-style parody of a settlement with Paramount, they exposed how media giants often fold under pressure. School children sat quietly as cartoon teachers ordered them to shut up and eat the bread, a damning metaphor for how
President Donald Trump is throwing a full-blown tantrum after South Park opened its new season by absolutely torching him with scenes so wild, even Satan gets involved. The season 27 premiere centers around Trump cracking down on free speech, suing anyone who dares criticize him.
Corporations trade creativity for compliance. South Park didn't merely criticize Trump, they blew the whistle on a system that bends to him, then turns around and profits off mocking him. In a move that shocked no one, Trump and his defenders chose to insult the show rather than confront the criticism. His inner circle dismissed the episode as a fourth-rate relic, yet the outrage proved they were watching. Instead of engaging with the message, they waged war.
The White House obviously was not pleased with the episode. They issued a statement saying the show Paramount just dished out $500 million for it, quote, hasn't been relevant for over 20 years, is hanging on by a thread with uninspired ideas in a desperate attempt for attention.
Or on the medium. But satire doesn't need approval, it only needs attention. And attention is exactly what South Park got by attacking both the powerful and those who enable them. South Park reached new heights. Their irreverence wasn't reckless, it was targeted. With every punchline, they pointed out the ridiculousness of modern politics, corporate hypocrisy, and a society addicted to spin. Trump may sue, pundits may scream, and loyalists may try to dismiss it.
In reality, the timing couldn't be worse for the White House. The South Park episode dropped just as creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone signed a massive new deal with Paramount, including 50 new episodes and full streaming rights on Paramount+. So while the Trump administration insists the show is irrelevant, it looks like South Park just did what it does best: mock the powerful, rile up the right, and break the internet doing it.
But the cultural impact has already landed. South Park didn't just air an episode. They staged a televised coup against political pretense. And for once, the cartoon characters were the ones making the most sense. What followed the viral South Park scene wasn't just outrage, it was full-blown political theater. Trump's camp quickly scrambled to denounce the episode, calling it lazy, tasteless, and a desperate ploy for ratings.
South Park fashion, things spiral from there, referencing a recent 60-minute settlement as proof.
While conservative media pundits labeled it an attack on decency. But behind the noise, the real issue was that the show struck a nerve. This wasn't a cheap shot. It was a meticulously crafted takedown of the persona Trump has cultivated for years, and vulnerable, untouchable, and immune to mockery. South Park shattered that illusion in 22 minutes. And as critics screamed, fans roared with approval. Social media exploded with clips, reaction videos, and meme threads dissecting every frame. Hashtags like,
Did you see the South Park episode?
Which one?
They did a Donald Trump one with Satan.
No.
It's f***ing hilarious.
I got I love the show. Is fantastic. I raised my 3 boys on that show, much to my wife's horror.
Hashtag Trump vs. South Park and hashtag Satangate dominated trending lists for days. Some saw it as the funniest episode in years. Others, as a brave act of cultural defiance. The message? In a media landscape often afraid to challenge powerful figures, South Park wasn't backing down. If anything, it was doubling down. Meanwhile, Trump's legal threats began to make headlines.
I think that they have reached the bottom of the highest level of not giving a f***. They reach unseen levels. The Epstein thing is so crazy.
Yeah.
Like, and him saying, like, what do you care? Why does everybody care about Epstein? Like,
Well, that's it. Yeah, but it is.
Lawsuits against Paramount. But this only poured gasoline on the fire. Instead of silencing the conversation, Trump amplified it. Every denial, every statement from his team, every public swipe at the show just confirmed what fans already knew. The episode hit home. It was no longer just a parody, it had become political commentary with real-world repercussions. What made the episode particularly piercing was its refusal to offer any safety net. No blurry censorship, no sugar-coated message. Trump's anatomy was part of the joke, but his narcissism, insecurity, and performative strength were the real targets. And the fact that the show linked those traits directly to broader themes like corporate control, misinformation, and authoritarian tendencies was a reminder.
They go to Matt and Trey and they say, we want you to go full-time South Park, mock Donald Trump, make him look bad. And they went, why? And they were like, we will pay you a lot of money. What's a lot of money? We will give you 30 million a year. We don't need 30 million a year. 50 million a year. Guys, we're rich. We don't need 50 million a year. Okay, 100 million a year. Like, honestly, what am I going to do with that? How about we give you 1.5 billion over 5 years? And then Matt and Trey were like, really? I imagine they were like, what do you want to do it? We want shock content that mocks Trump. I don't know, give me $1 billion. Done.
This wasn't just about one man. It was about a system that rewards the loudest voice, no matter how unstable. By dragging Paramount into the narrative, their willingness to cave to legal pressure while profiting off controversy, South Park pulled back the curtain on Hollywood's complicity. It was a move that few creators dare to make, roasting not just the subject, but the very platform they're standing on. That irony.
Bear gets canceled because they were spending $40-50 million a year on anti-Trump commentary. But this straight-laced goody two-shoes BS does not work. They've been talking about how they need a liberal Joe Rogan forever. I'm willing to bet that these prominent liberal billionaires and corporate types were like, listen, why do people like Joe? Because he's edgy, he's off the cuff, he'll say things you're not allowed to say. How do we do this? Well, Colbert ain't it. Colbert is straight-laced and boring. It's on the nose. The South Park guys. $300 million per year they got in this deal.
Wow.
How does something like that happen?
It wasn't lost on viewers, and it only added depth to an already fiery statement. In the end, the episode did more than make headlines. It exposed a truth that many networks shy away from, that satire still matters, especially when it's fearless. South Park's portrayal of Trump as a paranoid narcissist in bed with the literal devil may have looked like cartoon mayhem, but beneath the surface, it was a scalpel slicing into the heart of American politics. And as the backlash proved,
so the episode didn't just target Trump, it did go after its own parent company, Paramount, over the merger that was just approved and what happened to Colbert. So that merger gets approved today, so this was last night. So just on the eve of it, they said this.
You guys saw what happened to CBS? Yeah, well, guess who owns CBS? Paramount. You really want to end up like Colbert? You guys gotta stop being stupid.
We can't understand you.
Just shut up. We're going to give someone else the power of the presidency and also has the power to sue and take bribes, then he can do anything to anyone. It's the president, dude. All of you.
Okay, I guess maybe I know the answer to this, but who exactly is South Park talking to?
that cut was deep. The aftermath of South Park's scathing episode didn't just stir controversy, it triggered a full-blown media war. Conservative outlets were quick to jump on the defense, portraying the show as part of a coordinated leftist smear campaign. Fox News ran multiple segments accusing South Park of degrading presidential dignity, while pundits argued that the cartoon crossed a line even satire should respect. But for the millions watching, that was the point. South Park wasn't trying to be respectful. It was dragging the shield of faux decorum off a public figure who built his career on provocation, scandal, and shameless self-promotion. The moment uniquely explosive wasn't just that Trump was mocked, it was how the writers did.
Look at the Google Trends. I mean, look, Donald Trump wants this to go away. He obviously hates South Park, but the American people are infatuated with the story. Look at this. Google Trends for South Park up 670% versus last week. It is the top topic searched with Donald Trump this afternoon. And I will note another person they one time put in bed with Satan was Saddam Hussein. Not exactly the comparison I think Donald Trump wants.
But that was the top two.
When you
Trump plus something is Trump plus South Park.
You didn't just lampoon him with exaggerated caricature. They meticulously echoed his real-life scandals, insecurities, and evasions. From Epstein name drops to mock press conferences filled with word salad and wild tangents, the show parodied Trump's public behavior with uncanny precision, and the cartoon format gave them the creative freedom to go places traditional media wouldn't dare. Meanwhile,
and it's showing a lot more courage.
Online reaction videos captured a divided public, one half howling with laughter, the other fuming. TikTok creators broke down the episode frame by frame. YouTube commentators launched fiery debates about censorship and taste, and formerly Twitter threads turned into battlegrounds of opinion. The term
going back to South Park, yeah, once they did the Woodland Creatures episode all those years ago, you thought, okay, that's got to be the worst they can get.
Which one was the Woodland Creatures?
Oh my God, you got to look it up. It's fantastic. I'm not going to do it justice if I try to explain what it's about.
Well, remember when they did the gay teacher where you had a with Paris Hilton, they stuffed her up his ass.
Oh God!
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
They don't give a
No,
they haven't given a since the beginning, and it's the greatest show of all time.
Yeah.
Trump's Satan canon trended for 48 hours. What emerged wasn't just pop culture buzz, it was a cultural litmus test for how far satire could go in 2025 without being censored or silenced. Trump's response team escalated things further. Rather than ignoring the episode or brushing it off, they treated it like a direct political threat. Rumors of a lawsuit against Paramount became front-page news, and insiders claimed Trump privately fumed about Hollywood elite humiliation. Some reports said he even reached out to former allies in the media to coordinate a
tree on that's what being a free society is. Like, if you're not in a free society, then you can't have people making fun of the leader of the country on primetime shows. And if you're in a free society, like, that's the thing that we have and we take for granted. And, like, again, God bless the folks at South Park for, like, reaffirming that fundamental right.
100%.
What few expected, though, was the ripple effect in entertainment. Other late-night hosts and comedians quickly followed South Park's lead, referencing the episode in monologues, sketches, and panel discussions. A rare moment of comedic unity formed, with different platforms indirectly co-signing the satire. Even mainstream publications like The Atlantic and Rolling Stone weighed in, publishing think pieces on how the cartoon exposed deeper truths about power, masculinity, and media manipulation. And at the center of it all was South Park's genius, disguising brutal social critique as a cartoon absurdity by making the devil seem less absurd than the former president. The show flipped the script, suggesting that in today's America, fiction can feel more rational than reality. That message hit hard, It wasn't just about Trump, it was about the media, the public, the corporations, and the culture that enabled and normalized him.
We're living in a nascent authoritarian state. You're seeing people being intimidated. You're seeing the level of corruption just play out nakedly. I mean, you mentioned earlier, Donald Trump's former defense attorney is going to negotiate a deal with Ghislaine Maxwell. It's just absurd, but it is what an authoritarian country and society is. And, you know, it's not hard to find people who say, like, I'm flying out of the country, I'm not sure if I should strip my phone of critiques of Donald Trump. I mean, this is something that, you know, 15 years ago we would have joked about and thought impossible.
For so long. As the dust settled, Paramount stood its ground, refusing to pull the episode despite political pressure. South Park, meanwhile, basked in the spotlight. It created undaunted, unfiltered, and completely unapologetic. And as viewers rewatched that now infamous Satan bedroom scene, the laughter came with a little more edge and a lot more meaning. This wasn't just comedy, it was resistance, rendered in ink and pixels.
Donald Trump might hate being mocked, but he tends to invite it with just how delusional and butthurt he really is.
This came from us? Yes. I don't know who does that. Are you including the Martin renovation? You just added our entire capital. Yeah, you just added in a third building. Is what that is. That's a third building.
I guess the news there is that Donald Trump got Jerome Powell to wear a hard hat, but the real scoop is that Jerome Powell in real time failed to be humiliated by Donald Trump by putting on his glasses, reading the document Donald Trump pulled out of his pocket, and making a fool out of Donald Trump for getting his facts wrong about the cost of multiple buildings being renovated.